These are the 20 smartest plays in NFL history.
That's a smart play, is real smart play.
And to start things off, we have to showcase one of the greatest fumble recoveries of all time. Because right after the Falcons lost the ball, the Cardinals had the chance to recover until it started bouncing towards the sideline. But even then, Greg Toller hadn't given up.
Gets rid of it, and Jason Snelling. As the Falcons first down, they lose the football. What a save by Greg Toller.
But how about the time that Dan Marino lied to the entire stadium and actually got away with it? Because with the clock ticking down, everyone thought he was going to spike the ball.
Seeing another spectacular effort by Marino, who fires. Touchdown! What the Jets were thinking? He's going to take the ball and throw it into the ground.
However, he instead remained standing and threw an absolute dot to the sideline for the touchdown, all while the Jets were standing around looking like NPCs. Speaking of catching people lacking, Ty Montgomery once used a rule so obscure the announcers thought he was just confused. He noticed the kick landed right next to the sideline and decided to lie down out of bounds while reaching in to grab the ball.
Penalty flag is thrown on the far side.
He stepped out of bounds. Watch Ty Montgomery. See how he deliberately gets out of bounds, make sure he's out, and then touches the football. He knew the rule.
He was technically out of bounds, so the moment he touched the ball, it was ruled dead, and the Packers got possession at the 40-yard line instead of the 3. And if you thought that was crazy, we gotta look at when Josh Allen literally threw a touchdown to himself in a playoff game. Because the Bills were playing the Patriots when Josh Allen threw the ball to Amari Cooper. Normal play, right? Except Cooper flips it right back. So now Allen is running toward the end zone like a receiver and dove into the pylon for the touchdown. You almost never see laterals like this because if it goes wrong, you look stupid forever. But in this case, it worked perfectly. And when plays turn into chaos like that, nobody is calmer than Travis Kelce. Because when Mahomes is scrambling and everything is breaking down, Kelce does this.
Throws back across his body. Oh, and a flip to McCoy from Kelce. Look at this. McCoy in the open field. That was sick.
It looks like backyard football, but it's pure awareness because he knew exactly where his teammate was. Most players would panic, but Kelce just treats it like another Tuesday afternoon. But sometimes the smartest play is realizing that scoring for your team is actually the worst thing you can do. And Brian Westbrook figured that out years ago against the Cowboys.
Watch Westbrook take a seat at the 1, and they'll just hang on to the football and let the clock run down to the 2-minute warning.
He literally chooses to not score just so they can run out the clock. No highlights, no celebration, no touchdown to pad stats. You gotta respect it. And while some players are busy sacrificing their stats for the team, Mike Vrabel was busy sacrificing his former mentor's sanity by using the referees as his personal henchmen. In a 2019 playoff game against the Patriots, Vrabel realized he could drain a massive amount of time without ever snapping the football. He had his team take back-to-back penalties for delay of game and offside because the rules at the time allowed the clock to keep running once the ball was set.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Tennessee's going to try and take multiple delay of games. Belichick's saying when the clock starts here, what happens? Does it start to run? Because I don't want him wasting my clock. We're down 1. Ball start, there it is, exactly right.
Vrabel just stood on the sideline with a smirk while Bill Belichick was literally screaming at the officials. It was pure cinema watching the greatest coach of all time get outgamed by his own former player using a loophole that shouldn't have even existed. The league was so embarrassed by the move, they changed the rule the very next season to keep anyone else from pulling off that kind of trick again. And while they were busy changing that rule, this Seahawks kicker was busy busting an unwritten rule that nobody had ever even seen before. Because in a game against the Rams, we saw one of the strangest things that a punter could ever pull off.
Aaron Donald now. Oh, there's a block. Blocked off the foot of Dixon, and Dixon now kicks it. Oh, that's coming back. That's coming back as this goes down near the 10.
After getting his punt blocked, the ball ended up right next to him, so he just picked it up and started running, but then he just randomly dropped it and punted the ball again. And this is where things get interesting, because everyone at the time thought this had to have been some sort of penalty.
You can advance the ball once it's been blocked. You can pick it up behind the line of scrimmage, and you can advance it, but no, you can't kick it again.
However, it looks like the punter's football IQ was actually higher than anyone could have thought, because after the refs took a few minutes to go over the rule book, they came out and said that there was actually no penalty on the play, and that the Rams get the ball where the second punt was down. But now let's look at when the Ravens took that same energy of weaponizing the rule book and turned it into a Super Bowl winning strategy. With only seconds left in the biggest game of their lives, they were protecting a slim lead and needed to punt from their own end zone. So instead of actually punting and risking a block or a return, they told the entire offensive line to just tackle everyone on the other team. The flags were flying everywhere, but since the game can't end on a defensive penalty, the offensive penalties just meant the play counted and the clock kept ticking. The punter just ran around in circles until the time hit 0 before stepping out for an intentional safety. The refs really had no choice but to watch the clock die while the Ravens started celebrating before the game was even over. Now, moving from intentional penalties to intentional fumbles, back in 1978, the Raiders were about to lose to the Chargers when Ken Stabler realized he was about to get sacked. This play became known as the Holy Roller, and it forced the league to make a rule that you can only advance a fumble in the final 2 minutes if the original fumbler picks it up. Bro basically gamed the system so hard he broke the sports rulebook. And if you think batting a ball forward is clever, then you need to see how Peyton Manning used the cameraman's own eyes against him. Because during a game against the Cowboys, everyone expected a standard run play for the touchdown. However, Manning faked the handoff so convincingly that even the guy operating the TV broadcast followed the running back into a pile of defenders.
Has the football. Can you believe it? Peyton Manning runs it in for the touchdown.
The defense was so focused on the running back that they forgot that the most dangerous man on the field was standing right behind them with 6 more points under his belt. Now, Peyton's mental warfare was legendary, but Bill Belichick has spent his entire career finding ways to make the other team feel stupid. Because back in 2003, the Patriots were pinned deep in their own territory against the Broncos and didn't want to risk a blocked punt. So, Belichick decided to take an intentional safety just to get better field position for the free kick. It seemed like he was giving away points for no reason, but it actually flipped the entire momentum of the game.
It's a good thought because you're going to have to kick anyway. You're going to have to get the ball back anyway. It's a 3-point game, so a field goal will still tie the game. Gaining 20 yards from the spot where you'd have to kick the ball.
The Patriots defense came out and shut down Denver immediately after the kick, and New England ended up winning the game by a single point. Belichick was essentially playing poker with a deck he stacked himself, and the Broncos never saw the trap coming. But how about the time that this kicker for the Raiders discovered a kicking loophole that added over 20 yards to his kicks? You see, kickers normally have 2 options on how they want to kick the ball. They can either have a tee that holds the ball up for them, or they can have a teammate hold it with their finger when they're playing in an open stadium and it's a windy day. However, what if I told you that the Raiders actually tried using both of these at the same time? And the reason for this is genius.
So normally you sit that thing inside of the tee like that so it can hold it up, right? But Raiders were doing last week, which is fascinating, is they were putting on the back of the tee like this, so a little bit more height. You see, a little bit higher, and then tilting that thing back just a little bit, okay?
Putting the ball up on the side of the tee gave the kicker a few more inches of height to get under the ball, therefore getting a better launch angle and sending the kick just a little bit further. Adding just 5 to 10 more yards to a kick might not seem like a lot, but it's actually a huge advantage.
So then our special team's able to get down there, tackle them inside the 20, inside the 15, which is a massive fucking advantage as opposed to starting at the 25.
Now, sadly, this glitch did get patched in one of the latest NFL updates, but it was genius while it lasted. And speaking of doing things you're not supposed to do, we have to talk about one of the craziest play calls in Super Bowl history. It was Super Bowl 52, Eagles vs. Patriots, 4th and goal, and Nick Foles came up with this.
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready?
His coach was looking at him like he was crazy, but the only thing that was crazy was how in the hell this play ended up working.
They're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
What a play call by Doug Peterson.
That kind of situational awareness is exactly what Aaron Rodgers uses every time he catches a defense with 12 men on the field. Most quarterbacks would just wait for the refs to blow the whistle, but Rodgers knows that if he snaps the ball immediately, he gets a free play. He identifies a defender trying to sprint to the sideline and launches a deep ball while the defense is in total chaos. It is essentially a legal cheat code that allows him to take a massive risk with 0 consequences. If the pass is intercepted, the penalty wipes it out, but if it is caught, it is a huge gain. And Ed Reed was doing the same thing, just in a different way. Because during a game against Peyton Manning, Reed lines up outside and then starts drifting inside at the snap like he's abandoning the outside. Peyton sees that and thinks the sideline is open, so he throws it, except Reed was actually never leaving, and he just turns around and picks it off. He baited one of the smartest quarterbacks ever into throwing directly to him, and it looked like he knew the play before it even existed. And then there is Harrison Butker and the Chiefs, using the NFL's new kicking rules rules to absolutely cook the entire league. They realized that kicking the ball into the new landing zone in a specific way could force the returning team into making a split-second decision that almost always went wrong.
You see it start off straight down the middle before sliding down to the last minute to the right hash of the returner and has a nasty side spin that makes it hard to field.
While every other team was complaining about the rule changes, the Chiefs were just busy hiring math consultants to find the most optimal way to exploit them. It's the reason that they are always living in the heads of every special teams coach in the league. And if you want to see more sports moments like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and check out this recommended video next.